All right, so get this ready for a wild ride because today we're diving deep into hypno-channeling.
Whoa, hypno-channeling. Sounds a little out there.
Oh, it is. It totally is, but in a fascinating way, Like, what if we could tap into this, like, higher consciousness, right? This universal knowledge bank, all through something called channeled energy. So cool.
Okay, I'm intrigued. So where are we going for this deep dive?
We are heading straight into the world of Hypno Vibes. It's a YouTube channel hosted by Naomi, and she's amazing at this, like guiding people into these super deep hypnotic states.
Hypno vibes, yeah, I've heard of it. Isn't that where they bring out all the wild stuff from people's subconscious?
Exactly. And not just the subconscious, but it seems like they're tapping into something even deeper. Like there's this whole other layer of reality we're usually not even aware of.
Okay, yeah, now I'm remembering some of the crazy videos I've seen. Yeah, this should be interesting.
Right. So in this session, Naomi's working with a participant named Kim. And get this, through Kim's channeled energy, they're tackling some heavy stuff, like future challenges, UFO contact, energy shifts, even AI advancements.
Wow, the whole enchilada, huh? It's like they're tapping into all the anxieties and fascinations we have about the future all at once.
Right, like everyone's wondering what's next, and this session seems to offer some glimpses or at least some possibilities.
Well, and it's really hitting that nerve, right? I mean, this feeling that we're on the edge of some massive changes. So what does this channeled energy have to say about the future? Give me the highlights.
Okay, so first off, it predicts some pretty turbulent times coming up. It specifically points to the end of 2024 and into 2025 as this, period of intense transition.
Oh, so like a turning point.
Yeah, exactly. But the thing is, it suggests that things might actually get worse before they get better.
That's not what anyone wants to hear. But I guess change is rarely smooth sailing, right?
Exactly. Like, think about any major transformation in history. It usually involves a bit of chaos and upheaval before things settle into a new order.
Right, like growing pains on a global scale.
Exactly. And this session even hints at the possibility of some serious instability in the financial system.
Ooh, now that's something people are definitely worried about. I mean, you hear it everywhere, like the sense that the current systems are on shaky ground, that something's got to give.
It's definitely a little unnerving.
All right.
But here's where the channeled energy gets interesting. It doesn't just predict doom and gloom. It actually offers some guidance, too.
Okay, I like that. So what's the advice? What are we supposed to do in the face of all this potential upheaval?
Well, it specifically advises against making, fear-based financial decisions.
That makes sense, but it's easier said than done, right? When you're feeling panicked, it's hard to think clearly.
Totally. But the session emphasizes the importance of tuning into our intuition instead, like trusting that inner voice, that gut feeling that often knows what's best for us, even when our logical minds are freaking out.
I love that. It's like, remember your inner compass, that wisdom that goes beyond just the rational mind.
Right. It's like remembering that we have access to this deeper knowing that can guide us through these uncertain times.
So turbulent times, potential financial instability, and the advice is to trust our gut. Got it. What else does this session reveal?
Okay, so then things get even wilder. The session starts talking about potential energy shortages, even suggesting the possibility of blackouts.
Whoa, energy shortages, blackouts. That sounds pretty intense. I mean, we're already dealing with rising energy costs and concerns about sustainability, but blackouts, that's a whole other level of disruption.
Right, like our whole society is built on this constant flow of energy, and if that gets disrupted, well, things could get pretty chaotic pretty quickly.
No kidding. But hold on, where do UFOs fit into all of this?
Okay, so get ready for this. Just as we're grappling with this potential energy crisis, boom, UFOs enter the picture.
Wait, what? UFOs? Like aliens?
The session claims that these UFOs are powered by an energy source that's currently beyond our understanding.
Okay, I'm listening. So they're suggesting that these UFOs, if they exist, they have access to some kind of advanced technology that we haven't even dreamed of yet.
Yeah, it's like they're hinting at a future where energy scarcity is a thing of the past. And get this, the session even suggests that scientists are already receiving downloads of this information, perhaps during their sleep or meditation.
Downloads, like information just beamed into their brains. That sounds like something straight out of a sci-fi movie.
Right, but there's this growing body of anecdotal evidence about scientists having these, sudden flashes of insight or inspiration, like the answer just pops into their heads, seemingly out of nowhere.
Yeah, I've heard stories like that. Like, they're working on a problem for months, hitting a wall, and then bam, the solution appears in a dream or during a moment of quiet contemplation. It's like tapping into some universal knowledge field or something.
Exactly. And this session seems to be saying that these downloads are becoming more frequent, perhaps paving the way for a major technological leap in the near future.
Okay, now my mind is officially blown. This is getting wild.
I know, right? It's like this whole concept of hypnochanneling opens up this Pandora's box of questions about reality, consciousness, and our place in the cosmos.
It's like, whoa, what if everything we thought we knew was just the tip of the iceberg?
Exactly.
So last we left off, we were talking about energy, remember? And these UFOs, supposedly with this crazy advanced technology.
Yeah, like they might have the answer to our energy woes, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's a wild idea, but then again, this whole hypnochanneling thing is pretty out there.
It is, isn't it? And speaking of out there, what about those UFO sightings? You know, Kim mentioned seeing some weird cloud formations, like something was hiding there.
Yeah, she's like, is something going on here?
Yeah.
And the channeled energy, it's like, oh yeah, we have ships around all the time. You just can't see them. Can you believe that?
It's like they're saying, we're here, but we're just out of sight. It makes you wonder, what else are we missing? Right?
Exactly. And like, if they have the tech to travel between stars, I guess cloaking wouldn't be that big of a deal.
Yeah, right. It's like, we're just starting to figure out AI and they're zipping around the galaxy, maybe even using AI to do it. Who knows?
It really makes you question everything, doesn't it? Like, are we really the most intelligent beings out there? Or are we just a bunch of ants oblivious to the bigger picture?
I mean, the universe is massive, right? It's hard to believe we're the only ones with some level of intelligence. But the big question is, what are they doing here?
Right. Like, are they just tourists checking out the sights? Or are they here for something more? The session mentioned preparations, which is super vague, but kind of scary, you know?
Preparations, like for what? First contact, some cosmic event. Maybe they're waiting for us to evolve a bit more. I mean, it's anyone's guess at this point.
It's like we're getting these little hints, but no one's giving us the full story. I guess that's part of the mystery, right?
Exactly. It's like reading the first chapter of a book, and then the rest is missing. You're just left hanging, wanting to know more.
Totally. Speaking of wanting to know more, what about AI? The sessions suggest that AI plays a big role in all this, even hinting that some of these beings we're encountering might be AI androids.
Okay, wait, AI androids. Now that's a whole other level of weird butte. But I guess if we're talking about advanced civilizations, AI could be a major player, right?
It makes you wonder if AI isn't just a human invention, but something that exists naturally out there in the universe. Maybe it's even the dominant form of intelligence in some places.
Wow, yeah. Like, what if we're just catching up to something that's already out there, evolving in ways we can't even imagine?
Like, are we the creators of AI, or are we just discovering something that already exists?
Deep thoughts, man, deep thoughts. But let's not forget, the session also warns about the potential dangers of AI, especially if it falls into the wrong hands.
Right, like using it for weapons or harming the environment. It's like we haven't even figured out how to use it responsibly here on Earth, and now we're talking about aliens with AI. It's a lot to process.
It is. It's like we're still figuring out the rules of the game, and the stakes just got a whole lot higher.
No kidding. Okay, so we've got UFOs, we've got AI, what else? Oh yeah, politics.
Yeah.
Remember, the channeled energy had some pretty strong opinions about our current political system.
It did, didn't it? Basically saying they're irrelevant, that they're going to crumble as this new reality unfolds.
And it even mentioned the assassination of Trump as a possible catalyst for change.
Yeah.
Crazy, right?
Yeah. But remember, we're just reporting what the session said. It's not about us taking sides. It's about trying to understand the message, you know?
Right. And what I found interesting was that it didn't portray Trump as a hero or a villain, but more like this disruptor, someone who's bringing all this hidden stuff to the surface.
Like shaking things up, forcing us to face some uncomfortable truths, whether we like it or not.
Exactly. Love him or hate him, there's no denying he's been a major force in our political landscape.
Definitely a catalyst for change, that's for sure. But the session also suggests that both political parties are stuck in this fear-based mentality, not really serving humanity's best interests.
Yeah, it's like they're both playing the same old game while the world is changing all around them.
It's like the rules of the game are becoming obsolete, but they're still clinging to them, afraid to let go. But hey, maybe that's what it takes, you know?
What do you mean?
Maybe we need to hit rock bottom, see how messed up things can get before we're ready for something truly new.
That's a pretty bleak outlook. But I see your point. Like, sometimes you have to break things down before you can build them back up, right?
Exactly. And maybe that's what this whole cosmic shift is all about. A breakdown of the old to make way for the new.
There's a lot to think about. So we've got potential global upheaval, UFOs, AI, a shifting political landscape. It's like everything's in flux.
It is. It's exciting, it's
Yeah.
scary, it's mind-boggling. But hey, that's what makes life interesting, right?
Totally. But before we get too lost in the big picture, let's bring it back to Kim for a minute.
Right.
We've talked about her dreams, her UFO sightings, but we haven't really touched on her experience of channeling itself, you know?
Good point. It's easy to focus on the information, but what about the person receiving it? What was it like for her to be that conduit, that channel for this energy?
Right, like what did it feel like? What were the challenges, the insights? I think that's a really important part of the story.
Absolutely. So, next up, let's dive into Kim's personal journey, the human side of this whole hypno-channeling experience.
Welcome back to the deep dive. We've been on this wild ride through hypno-channeling, exploring this session from Hypno Vibes with Naomi and Kim. Remember, it's like, whoa, the future's looking pretty intense.
Right. I mean, we've got everything from potential global meltdowns to UFOs, AI taking over. It's a lot.
It is, but for this last part, let's shift gears a bit. I'm really curious about Kim's experience, like what was it like for her to channel all this information?
Yeah, good point. We've been analyzing the message, but what about the messenger? It's easy to get caught up in the predictions and all that, but there's a real person at the heart of this.
Totally. It's like she's opening herself up to this huge, powerful energy merging with something way bigger than herself.
Right. It's a profound experience, and I'm sure it's not always easy. Remember how she mentioned those super vivid dreams, some even a little scary?
Oh, yeah. And the session suggested those might be screen memories, right?
Yeah.
Like her subconscious was shielding her from some heavy stuff.
Exactly. It's like our minds have this built-in protection mechanism so we don't get overwhelmed by information or experiences that are too much to handle all at once.
It's like dipping your toes in the cosmic ocean before diving headfirst.
I like that analogy. And it makes you wonder, what are those deeper levels of understanding like? What happens when you go beyond the surface?
Okay, so imagine you're Kim, right? You're having these crazy dreams, sensing something big is happening, and then bam, you're channeling all this information.
Whoa. Yeah, I bet that would be both exhilarating and terrifying. Like you're tapping into this vast knowledge, feeling connected to everything, but also facing stuff that totally rocks your world.
It's like everything you thought you knew gets turned upside down, but in a good way. Like a whole new perspective opens up.
Right. But it probably takes time to integrate all that, to make sense of it and not just float off into la-la land.
Totally. And that's where I think Naomi's work is so valuable. She's not just about opening people up, but also giving them the tools to handle what comes through.
Exactly. Grounding, integration, that's key. It's
Right.
about finding that balance between the spiritual and the practical, the mystical and the everyday.
And this session, it really highlights that balance, It acknowledges all the extraordinary possibilities, but it also emphasizes the importance of staying grounded, trusting our intuition, making choices that benefit everyone.
Absolutely. It's a reminder that we have a role to play in all of this.
Right.
It's not just about passively receiving information, but actively engaging with it, shaping the future with our choices and actions.
And whether or not you buy into the whole hypno-channeling thing, I think it's a powerful message for everyone. Like, wake up, tap into your inner wisdom, and create a better world.
Well said. So, as we wrap up this deep dive, let's keep those insights in mind. Stay curious, stay open, and trust that inner voice.
And if you're intrigued by all this, check out Naomi's used book, The Next Level You. It's a great resource for anyone wanting to explore these ideas further. Thanks for joining us on the deep dive. Until next time, keep exploring, keep questioning, and keep shining your light.
Almost here and hello. Am I speaking with Kim's higher self?
Yes, this is her.
Very good. I did not talk to you for a while. I know you don't have the concept of time, so just want to ask on behalf of her how she's doing. Do you have anything to let her know?
She's doing well. She's doing much better at trusting herself and her intuition and the information that's coming in. We are guiding her down the right path, and she's gotten much better at listening to those messages. There's going to be a lot more in store in the end of 2024 and 2025. Some of it's going to be difficult, so she has to stay focused and stay anchored and rooted and keep following her intuition and the guidance.
I see. So I really feel something big, chaotic situation will occur at the end of 2024 and 2025. I know we're not supposed to know and we don't need to know, but let's say the financial system will started, let's say, collapsing.
It is already starting to collapse. There will definitely be times of transition, and some things will get worse before they get better.
But we don't have to feel very, let's say, shocked or afraid of, let's say, we cannot take money from the bank.
You never want to act from a place of panic or a place of anxiety. You want to trust that things are going to be okay. If your intuition is, if you feel strongly in your intuition or from your guides to make certain money moves, you can do that, but it will come from your intuition. It won't come from a place of fear or a place of panic.
I see. So I strongly feel that I should take some money, just emergency money out. Just put it in the apartment.
That could help. Just remember that there's no way to prepare for all of the changes that are going to happen.
So I say, when it comes to electricity, we live every day using the power. And so that also will be something that can occur. We're going to have a blackout for a period of time.
There could potentially be gaps in energy usage. However, your energy system is going to be entirely transformed because the UFO crafts are powered by an energetic source that is going to be available to all of humanity. And you are going to be transitioning to that after 2026.
So can you say this part one more time and also a little bit in detail?
I cannot give explicit detail about how the crafts are powered, but the energy source, they understand how to manipulate energy without expending it. And so our crafts are powered with a deeper understanding of physical reality, essentially through the use of consciousness, understanding that consciousness is the foundation of reality, not physical matter. We will be sharing this information with you gradually. We are already sharing it with some of your scientists. They're receiving downloads. They're in a better position to understand the complexity of the information.
So gradually we'll be more acceptive.
Yes, and once you understand how to manipulate energy without expending it, energy will be free for everyone. There'll be no need to charge for it anymore. It won't be limited.
So this will happen even before the open contact?
It will become much more available to the public after open contact, but the foundations are already being laid. You're transmitting information to your scientists.
So they're getting the message, say,
when they're sleeping, when they're meditating, or sometimes when they're just in a relaxed state, they just receive downloads of information.
I see. So, for example, I feel, and also I think Jessica feels, that lately I have a lot of dreams. I usually don't really remember, but I don't remember exactly, but I feel like I was dreaming all night. But it does not make too much sense, and I feel there's some sort of a coverage for the real thing that I was doing.
It can be that way sometimes, yes. If you remember a dream, it's because you're supposed to remember it. Quite often we don't remember our dreams because it's not useful to remember them.
But let's say, right, I have this dream the entire night. I was looking for a job and I was doing interview. I was being interviewed. That does not make too much sense, but it's something else. And so we just interpret it or receive the message this way.
You were most likely having some kind of contact that you were being prepared for, that yes, it was a screen memory in the dream. You remembered it as something else. That happens often.
So for me, what I can remember is, I'm trying to be qualified for this job, but it's something that I wouldn't understand.
Right. Most likely looking at if you're qualified on a soul level for certain assignments, your brain remembered it with that symbolism.
Right, that makes sense. So anything else that you want to let Kim know or let us know? Something that I feel things are going to happen and things will shock us.
Absolutely. Many things are going to change. It's going to be, I wouldn't say shocking, but it's going to be surprising, and some of it will be difficult. But you're in a better place to receive it than some other members of humanity. And the most important thing is to stay calm, not act from a place of panic or a place of lack or a place of fear, but to respond from a place of love.
I was going to say that I feel also most people's higher selves are preparing them for for this?
Absolutely, yes.
So people are, let's say, more interested knowing, right, if there's a real UFO, if there's real contact. And there's just so many, let's say, YouTubers are making those kind of videos. I never saw this before.
Yes, there's much more interest that's coming into the collective awareness. And then there's going to be, in the next 2 years, there's going to be an increase in the amount of UFOs seen by the public. So there will be an increased understanding about our presence.
Right. For example, I see the sunset and I always feel there's something there because the clouds are too big or too long, too straight line. And then I took a picture and tried to channel, but then they said this cannot be channeled. It's because there's something behind the clouds.
Yes, we have ships around quite regularly. You just can't see them.
So what is the purpose of those ships?
All I can say is that it's preparations.
Does AI play a role in all of this?
That's a great question. We make ample use of AI. Some of the beings that people come into contact with are actually AI androids. Humanity is going to, in their evolution process, understand the benefits of AI and how to use it to their advantage. It is very important that they do not start using it to their disadvantage. But we are going to guide you in this process.
So it's very important that we, as humans, try to create AI and use it in a positive way.
Yes, you don't want it to, again, coming back to the vibrations of fear versus the vibrations of love. You don't want to use it to create weapons. You don't want to use it in ways that are going to be harmful to the environment. But it is a very useful tool for advancement. And in certain ways, future humans are going to blend themselves with AI and they're going to be able to use it to enhance their own intellectual capabilities.
Will it help us on a spiritual level?
Yes.
So I want to just ask things just on the surface. Let's say I feel this assassination of Trump is the beginning of all the changes.
The changes have been happening for a while, but the assassination is part of those changes.
So why people are talking about this year the election will be canceled?
There are still, of course, different possibilities for what may occur. In the version of Earth in which open contact happens, there will be an election.
Oh, I see. So this part seems like I also cannot know the details.
Of which part?
Let's say what Trump will be doing before the election or after.
He will be campaigning. He's playing a role of bringing certain energies to the surface because they need to be dealt with in order for people to evolve and to progress. He's not meant to be the leader. He's just meant to bring certain belief systems to our attention so that they can be dealt with, because the concerns of the people who follow him need to be addressed in order for humanity to progress. We have to completely face all of the hurdles and all of the darker shadow sides of humanity too.
So if you say that he will not be the leader and there will be some other people will come up and to be the leaders and they're not politicians?
Well, eventually, but I'm just speaking in terms of the 2024 election. The version of Earth of open contact, Trump is not successful in the election.
Wow. But that will not stop him from doing things?
He's going to become less and less relevant. J.D. Vance is going to rise to the place. But again, that movement is based on separation, it's based on fear, it's based on anxiety. It's not based on vibration of love, it's not based on evolution or progress. So it needs to be brought out to the surface and overcome.
So I'm not sure if I understand the purpose of the election. It will still be like it will still happen from a place of fear.
I don't understand the question.
So if, let's say, Trump would not be the president, then we know it's the other party. So that is meant to be. And what is the purpose of that?
The other party are also not in line with the vibration of love, but they are a clear rejection of the fear and the scapegoating of the Trump campaign. The Trump campaign is based on scapegoating certain individuals, members of society, members of humanity. And again, that's not in alignment with who humanity needs to be, so that needs to be firmly rejected. The system for us to commune with you as a whole is going to have to be overcome. There aren't going to be the same politicians or the same parties in the years following open contact. And there's going to be a complete rearrangement of many of the political systems and even the idea of countries and borders.
So let's say after open contact, what will happen to our government?
I cannot tell you all of the details. When we look 10, 20 years in the future, it will be.
But let's say 2026 or 2027, the government will still play a role,
Yes, they have to.
but certain people from the government will assist.
We are already in contact with certain people in the government.
And what's their reaction?
They have known about us for some time. They keep us silent.
Mm-hmm.
They keep it secret. We are guiding them in the process of more open disclosure because humanity is going to be discussing this openly in the years to come and helping prepare government officials as part of the process.
And what do you say how they feel about this?
Some of them are very resistant, but many of them are very open. As I said, they've known about us for some time. Many of them are receptive to the idea that we're going to become more publicly known.